it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and apparently the one-stop shop for all Persona news here on the internet. Yes, this is Game Room, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about video games, and I woke up this morning to see that I already had a tweet from somebody going brand new Persona news, and that's exactly what happened the last time that brand new Persona news came out. Someone else tweeted me that was out. I love the fact that I have amassed a little tiny Persona army that's just constantly going to keep me informed about Persona news. It's great. I don't have to search for this stuff. You guys are handling it all. Way to go. Way to go. A little round of applause for all you guys. All right. You deserve it. But yes, the people over at Atlus have decided that they are done being vague about the story of this game. And it's time for them to just give us all the details about the plot of this game. So that's great because it means that we no longer have to just sit around and speculate about this game. No more just sitting around looking at the trailers like, oh geez, what's that thing far off in the background? Maybe it means this, which is exactly what made my channel famous in the first place. So I don't know how I feel about that. Anywho, time to discuss the story of this, and I'm just going to run through it real quickly because A, you guys can see this anywhere else on the internet, and B, I have like 3 other things I have to record today, so I need to get to those. But let's do this. I want to give you guys all the details that we have gotten on this game, so I hope that you guys are looking forward to looking at a man read things off his phone. But before I start discussing the story of this game, I just want to speak real quickly to all the people who have been with my channel ever since I first started making those Persona 5 videos. To all the people who have been with my channel since then, A, thank you, and secondly, you know that I've had some pretty crazy theories about Persona 5. When that first trailer came out, I said it looks like you're going to be villains. You're not even going to be good guys in this game. And then as more trailers came out, I kind of pulled back from that a little bit and said, okay, maybe you'll be good guys, but you'll be vigilantes and like hardcore vigilantes, like almost Punisher level vigilantes. People going out there and using your Persona powers to actually rip the hearts out of your opponents. And now that the story has finally been revealed, I just want to say, called it! Our description of the story starts off with a quote, which I assume is from the protagonist, which is interesting since the protagonist never talks in any of these games. So that might be a thing. But the quote is, when I protected the woman from the man harassing her, he got hurt and pressed charges. And then it goes into a description that says, whether it was for a small sense of justice or possibly a different reason, the truth was distorted at the self-protection and convenience of rotten adults, and the protagonist began a quote-unquote criminal record. During his probation, the protagonist, who lives in an old-looking cafe in the metropolitan area, one day has a strange dream. Now, of course, that strange dream takes him to the Velvet Room, and if you've played a Persona game, you know what the Velvet Room is. But I just gotta talk about that real quickly. It does indeed look like you will be a character who went out there trying to do good. You want to protect people from criminals, from rotten adults, as it says, but they then distort the truth and then say that you attacked them, or that you're the one to blame, or that you injured them while you were trying to protect them, and then you end up going to jail. Well, maybe not jail because you are underage, but juvie, you get a criminal record, it's on your permanent record, which apparently is an actual thing. And from there you end up finding yourself in the Velvet Room. Now for anybody who has played a Persona game before, then you know that the Velvet Room is meant to reflect the mind of the person who is visiting it. And for you, it is going to be a prison. And Igor, the owner of the Velvet Room, says that it's a prison because you are on the road to ruin because you are a, quote, captive of fate. Now, the way that I interpret this is that you're on the road to ruin and you're a captive of fate because basically your life has already been structured by people above you, by people in higher positions of power, by these quote-unquote corrupt adults. Your life has already been shaped so that you have no chance of winning, so that you are going to be a criminal forever, so that you're going to probably end up in jail at some point in your life. There is no way of getting out of it. And Igor says that the only way to avoid this ruin is through rehabilitation. You have to rehabilitate to freedom, and then he asks you, are you ready to take on a distorted world? He then gives you the power of Persona, as well as a phone app that allows you to find a way into people's souls, or hearts, or minds, or however you want to interpret that. But basically, that's what the dungeons are. The dungeons are the internal being of these quote-unquote corrupt adults that you are taking on. Now, you're going to use these phone apps and your personas to go inside of these opponents and battle the evil that is within them. That is why many of the bosses are themed around the 7 deadly sins, and you're basically then going to try and remove their hearts. In other words, take the evil out of them. That's some pretty hardcore stuff. And one of the things that I think is really cool about this is that it's not just that you have to go in there and defeat the boss and that boss is the evil within them. No, the evil is actually a little treasure. when you go to the dungeon, there's a treasure that you actually have to steal. Your characters are described as thieves, and yeah, you actually have to rob their souls. That is a very interesting approach to this. We see one little image of them lifting a giant crown, and you have to carry that crown out of the dungeon, and it makes me actually wonder, do you actually have to get out of the dungeon too? Like, it isn't one of those things where you just go and as soon as you defeat the boss, then bam, you're good to go. We have seen a lot of clips in previous trailers of these characters actually having to run out of like collapsing dungeons. I wonder if there will actually be two parts to the gameplay. Going into the dungeon and defeating the boss and then getting the treasure, and then a second part in which you actually have to get out of the dungeon, like a race against time kind of thing. I think that actually could be a really interesting approach to this and would provide a very different type of gameplay experience to the Persona games. They also said that the story will be divided into sections. It's not going to be like in, say, Persona 3, in which it was like, okay, we have to solve the mystery of Tartarus, and every single full moon something happens. And it's not going to be like Persona 4, where it was like, okay, we have to find out who the serial killer is, and we just have to rescue someone once a month. No, this is going to be a thing in which every single little boss feels like its own little story. And then as the game goes along, every single one of those little mini stories all kind of line up to make one big story with connections between each of the minor stories. I like that they are actually changing things up like that. I don't know how it will work, but I definitely think that it is something different. And you know, every single game, whenever you get a new installment of it, it is good to try some different stuff, just to kind of keep it lively, keep it new, keep it fresh. We also get a little bit of info about your personal life in this game. Just like in any of the Persona games, you gotta go to school, you gotta take tests, you gotta do your homework, you gotta make sure that you get the right answers in class. That we all know before, and it did confirm that whenever you do well on these tests, it will raise certain stats, and you will also have part-time jobs that will also raise other stats. That one seemed pretty obvious from the start, but it's good to finally have that confirmed. But one thing that I found interesting is that they have said that you will have a wider variety to the amount of stuff that you can do after school, including the part-time jobs, but also the way that you hang out with your friends. It says that you can actually go on dates with people, which was something that you couldn't do in the previous Persona games. You could be boyfriend and girlfriend with someone, however, it was one of those things in which it was like, yeah, just be friends with them for a long enough time and then you will suddenly magically be boyfriend and girlfriend. No, in this one you actually will be going out on dates, so that is a new approach to the dating mechanic from the previous games. So I'm glad that, again, like I just said, it's good to change things up every now and again. And for the longest time, I have been asking in every single one of these videos, where's the social links? I know they've said that there will be something like social links in these games, but how come we have not seen it yet? So this is actually like the first little bit of news that we've gotten that kind of confirms, yeah, this is what social links are going to be like. It's going to be like, okay, you actually are like going out on a date with someone. So it might not be an actual social link where you see an actual level bar go up, but there will be some kind of a system in place like that where you get to know people better. Because honestly, to me, that was the thing that I loved the most about the Persona games. Like, I like the dungeon crawling, I like the bosses, I like the story, but to me, the best thing was the social links. It was getting to know all these people and know their stories. I became far more invested in those than I did in the big one. I cared more about whether or not this girl from the drama club would ever reconnect with her dying father than I ever cared about saving the world and stopping the serial killer. But speaking of the connections that you make with other characters, we finally got information on the other members of your party, aside from that one dude whose face they keep hiding. Yeah, that'll be an interesting surprise. But anyway, we finally got news on them, including their names and their persona names and their background, and I apologize to everyone because I'm about to butcher all of these. But first off, the biker girl's name is Makoto Nijima, and she is a third-year student from the same school as you. She is the student council president. She is an honor roll student. However, this is a quote, however, she has her own troubles as well, which will eventually trigger the awakening of her persona and thereby cause an incident. That is vague as hell, but I love that it says that she has her own problems, and then we have seen her character, and she's got the giant spikes on her. She's a biker. It looks to me like she's going to be someone who's like, she wants to be good, she wants to be the honor roll student, but on the inside she's got anger issues, she wants to rebel. So I think there will be like a conflict within that character. Her persona is a motorcycle named Joanna, and it is actually based on Pope Joanne, who legends say was the first female pope during the Middle Ages. I would never have guessed that. I know everybody had theories about what this motorcycle persona was. None of us were right on that one. Next up, the hacker girl's name is Futaba Sakura, and it says that she is also a student from your school. However, she stopped attending school, and she has become a complete and total shut-in, and the mystery is, what is the thing that caused her to become this shut-in? Something tells me she is going to have a very dark past. Also, her Persona's name, as we saw in the previous trailer, is Necronomicon. We have also seen that it's shaped like a flying saucer, and they describe it as being a symbol of Futaba's unknown power. It's kind of an interesting approach to that you have an unknown flying object as a symbol of unknown power. I think that's kind of cool. I also find it interesting that we have two personas that are modes of transportation. And lastly, the French thief character from the previous game, her name is Haru Okumura, and she is the daughter of the president of a very successful major restaurant company. I have a theory that's probably going to be a French restaurant company because I said she is somehow tied to French. That is her entire theme of her design and of her attacks. It says that she is very elegant, however, she does not have a lot of experience actually talking to people. She is going to be a little bit naive of a character. And her persona is Milady, who is a woman in a giant dress, and it says that she's hiding something underneath that dress, and we see one picture in which you just see cannons coming out from it. That's kind of awesome. I have nothing to add to that other than it's actually pretty cool. And Milady is named after the woman who appears in The Three Musketeers. But okay, everybody, that's all the new information that we have gotten about Persona 5. Aside from the American release date, February 14th. That is so far off, I kid you not, when I first saw that, my thought was, it's been out for months now and I didn't know. Like, I knew that wasn't the correct answer, but in the back of my mind, I somehow found that more believable than it wasn't coming out until February 14th. Listen, guys, what am I going to do? Come in here and say, make it sooner? No, listen, guys, I've been in this video game a long time. I know what happens when games get pushed early before they should come out, and what happens when they get delayed until they're done right. So yeah, if my choice is get it out sooner so that it's an incomplete game but I can have it sooner, or delay it until it's complete and it's a full game that works great, of course I'm going to say delay it until it's a full game that works great, but as somebody who has been looking forward to this game for so long, and it's now going to be almost a decade since the last Persona game came out, I'm a little salty about it. I'm a little salty. I can't lie. Yeah, it's disappointing. It is. It's upsetting, especially considering the fact that it's coming out in Japan in September, and I know how the internet works. It doesn't matter if I can't read it. Everybody out there is going to translate and spoil the crap out of it all over the internet before it comes out in February. That's upsetting. It's super upsetting. I don't want to have to try and avoid all Persona spoilers from September till February. I mean, I knew it wasn't coming out in September, the same time that was coming out in Japan. That would have been awesome if it was, but I knew it wasn't happening, but I pictured it would be coming out sooner than that. Like, I said that when this game comes out in September, I was going to make all of September Persona month on this channel. And now it feels weird. Like, I knew it wasn't coming out in September, but I figured it would be like, yeah, you know, October, November, something like that. It would be, you know, I'll make September Persona month to get people hyped for when it comes out in a few months. Yeah, it feels weird if I end up doing that now, and it's still not coming out for, what is that, 7 months? So, yeah, no, it's only 5. It's only 5. I'm exaggerating. Alright. Sorry, guys. I've been looking forward to this thing for so damn long, and now knowing that it's coming out next year, yeah, I'm a little bit upset about it. I mean, this game has been delayed for a long time. A long time. Every single Persona game is set roughly 2 years in the future from when it gets released. You want to know how long this thing has been delayed? They do not give you actual years for this game. They do not give you an actual date for this game. It just says 20XX for the date. However, when you actually look at what days on those calendars are lining up with which day of the week, you realize it's this year. They wanted this thing to be out years ago so that they could continue the trend of it being set a few years in the future. And this game will end up coming out so late in America that the game is now actually set 1 year in the past. So yeah, man, as I said, I don't want to just be salty over this because I understand they gotta get this game right. I want the Persona games to be done absolutely right, so if it takes that long to happen, I understand. I'm not just gonna sit here and pretend like everything's alright. I'm not gonna pretend like it's like, oh no, yeah, you guys do exactly what you need to do. Yeah, you take as much time as you need. Yeah, it's disappointing, but you know, gotta be an adult about these things. Not that you would know that I'm being that by everything behind me. Oh, did I actually just say that? Holy cow. I think that's the best line to go out on. Okay, thank you guys for watching this, and I hope that you guys enjoy all the other Persona stuff that I have on this channel, but I also hope that you enjoy all the other video game stuff that I have every single week on this channel, as well as all the other geeky stuff on this channel, including like comic books and movie news. So, if you want to see any of that, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and come back later when we get more information on Persona 5, whenever the hell that might be. Until then, I'm just gonna have to keep playing Persona 4 Dancing All Night. No, seriously, I just got Persona 4 Dancing All Night, the final Persona game that I haven't played. That is actually a really fun game. I don't know why I put it off so long. I thought it was going to be kind of disappointing. It is a damn good dancing game. But alright, thank you guys very much. Come back next time.